Gone. We don't see Buffy for most of this episode, but unfortunately her presence is still felt.
We open with Buffy and Dawn helping Willow by removing all magic items from her room. Dawn is being difficult about getting rid of everything, whining and complaining, which is my favorite part of any show, and I hope that would continue through the rest of this episode.
Buffy talks about how Willow can't be allowed to give in to temptation, then finds Spike's lighter and reminisces about banging him. This show is so deep.
And she puts the lighter in the box with the rest of the stuff.
We cut, unfortunately, to the nerds, where Warren is making a gun with the diamond they stole from the museum, just like we said he would, but surprisingly, it's not a freeze ray, it's an invisibility ray.
Even though it looks like and follows the exact plan of Mr. Freeze in Batman and Robin.
Warren tests it on a chair, and when Jonathan sits in it, the effect is not great. I know Jonathan is short, but they made him look completely disproportioned by shooting with him too close to the camera, so his feet look too big, and his head looks too small, and he's the wrong size compared to Andrew. Warren then makes the chair visible again, and says that having an invisibility ray makes them unstoppable, even though they've already altered time and the entire world's memories, etc., which I think is a slightly bigger deal.
The next day, Willow is non-magically preparing breakfast and seems to be moving at light speed through her addiction recovery. She says she's not going back to school yet and will continue to investigate the stolen museum diamond, because as of now, the trail has gone cold.
Dawn comes in and completely brushes off Willow and Buffy.
No. Gives them the cold shoulder.
These characters just get more and more likable all the time.
Buffy and Willow wonder why Dawn is being so hard on Buffy when Willow was the one who was the psycho, and Buffy says it's because the script said, because Buffy is the one who, quote, let it happen.
Spike suddenly busts in, saying he's looking for his lost lighter. Buffy lies and says she hasn't seen it. And when Willow leaves the room, Spike starts trying to get close to Buffy again, and she has trouble resisting him. Because this is an episode of Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
They're interrupted by Xander, who is unaware of their intimacy, and tells Spike that it's never going to happen, and only a complete loser would hook up with him.
He mentions Harmony and Drusilla, which just made me realize that we haven't seen either of them in forever.
Buffy sends Xander and Dawn off to school, right as a social worker, Doris, appears at the door, claiming they have an appointment right then. And she is correct.
And of course, Dawn is in the middle of talking about the car crash from the last episode.
And she's sporting her arm in a sling. Doris says she's there to make sure everything is in Dawn's best interest, and points out Dawn's grade slipping, her frequent absences, the bag of weed right out in the open, and the fact that Buffy is unemployed, which were all good points. But the show dates itself by also framing the fact that Willow also lives at the house is a concerning and negative thing.
I didn't take it that way. She was just reacting to the fact that Buffy had said no one else lives there, only to hear someone else who clearly lives there.
Buffy kind of framed it that way herself, because Doris said, oh, so you live with another woman, and Buffy just started stammering all over the place like that was something to be concerned about.
And when Doris leaves, it turns out that Spike is still there. He approaches Buffy and seemingly starts feeling her up, but it turns out he's pulling his lighter out of her pocket, which he suddenly realizes is there somehow.
After he leaves, Buffy freaks out, starts going wild on her hair with scissors, probably lamenting the entire time that Giles isn't there to fix all of her problems for her.
Which is due to the fact that he is the only intelligent character in the show and has left.
Elsewhere, the nerds have taken their invisibility ray and are preparing to enter a spa that advertises Bikini Wednesdays. So this was truly the nerds' plan, the whole Phase 1 and Phase 2 stuff, to make themselves invisible and creep on women?
Yes.
That's so lame and disturbing and stupid, all rolled into one.
Correct. They spot Buffy, who just happens to be walking by, and start fighting over the gun, and they start spraying energy rays around Ghostbusters style, which turns Buffy and several other random objects invisible.
Later, Buffy enters the magic shop, where Anya and Xander are discussing wedding plans, and thankfully, Buffy is aware that she's invisible. That's such a lame trope in things where people don't realize what's happened, even though it would be immediately clear. And that wasn't a pun.
Uh-huh.
I was surprised that Xander made a reference to that other Invisible Girl episode.
Xander suggests going back to where Buffy turned invisible to look for clues, and Buffy just says she's going to go for a walk.
Expecting Xander and Anya to figure out A, what's going on, B, why it happened, and C, how to reverse it. So, typical Buffy.
Anya suggests it may have been caused by an accident with magic, and they suspect Willow.
So Xander goes to talk to Willow, who's doing her diamond research and struggling not to magically lift up a book, relatable, and is aghast to discover that Xander thinks that she is responsible for Buffy's predicament.
And I love how her being tempted to use magic just comes from her being too lazy to go pick up a book. And why does she have these books so spread out all over the table anyway?
It shows how intense her research was.
Willow mentions that the diamond supposedly has some supernatural properties, and Xander tries to question her about Buffy, but it turns out she doesn't know anything about that. Willow gets upset that he automatically thought it was her, and storms out. What a Buffy.
Despite Xander having some good points about why he suspected Willow. Elsewhere, the nerds are working on fixing the invisibility ray because it was overloaded or something, and they confirm that their entire plan was to indeed creep on naked women. They're also concerned that an invisible Buffy could make things harder for them. And I know this show aired a while back, but the internet was around at that point, and they are super computer savvy. They were aware that porn existed, right?
Meanwhile, Invisible Buffy starts pranking people, which is weird and very out of character. She even goes so far as to steal a parking cop's vehicle.
And I'm sure all of these people are already in therapy for PTSD since this town deals with vampires, demons, hellmouths, giant snakes, ritual child sacrifice, floating silence monsters, and giant Frankenstein android cyborgs on a daily basis. What a bitch.
I have that exact sentence in my notes at this point.
Yeah, I have it a lot. She ends up at Doris's office and decides to mercilessly torture her mental state, which is framed as humorous, even though it was not.
I did think Buffy moving the cup around and trying to make the woman think that it's telling her to kill everyone was not a bad prank, and definitely something that I would have done, but it was really not in character for Buffy, and definitely not funny as presented in the episode.
Doris goes to the bathroom to get her head straight. Buffy steals a file on Dawn and puts Doris's job in jeopardy with her boss when she rewrites it. Yeah, see, here's a spot where I have "what a bitch" in my notes. What a terrible person for trying to make sure Dawn is in a caring, supportive environment. I don't know if you knew this, but her boss was in the Resident Evil remake from 2002. He was Enrico.
Okay, that's awesome.
Hey, Enrico's got a long history of being cool. I mean, in the PlayStation version, he was voiced by Dean Harrington, who was the announcer from Melee. It was awesome. Given an E for Enrico. Elsewhere, Detective Willow has determined where Buffy was turned invisible and has discovered evidence that somehow leads her and Xander to connect Buffy's condition with the nerd's black van. She just found some black paint, and they immediately say, oh, it must be from that weird van.
She scraped the paint off of a fire hydrant that has been turned invisible, and at one point Xander bumps into the hydrant and it makes a very non-hydrant-y sound.
What fire hydrant? Ow!
Willow says that the car that fled must have hit it, but every time I run into a hydrant, it causes a water spraying all around problem that I don't see happening here. Xander stumbles into something else, and Willow starts spraying it with paint instead of maybe feeling around to see what it might be first. I mean, it could be a dead body or something of someone who got run over, but it turns out to be a traffic cone, which Willow says Xander should take to the magic shop to study. Meanwhile, she keeps spraying it for some reason, and she says she's going to find the van, and I wondered how she was going to go about that.
Meanwhile, Buffy makes her way to Spike's crypt, which appears to have windows that let daylight in, full-blown daylight, which does not seem to affect Spike the vampire.
And Spike was watching a movie that sounded much more interesting than the episode I was watching. She then starts pushing him around and tears his shirt open, revealing who she is.
So instead of Spike forcing himself on Buffy, Buffy forces herself on Spike. How romantic.
Meanwhile, Xander and Anya are researching invisibility spells when Anya touches the traffic cone, and it starts crumbling into pieces of CGI. Xander says they need to find Buffy because the same thing might happen to her.
We cut to the nerds who confirm that that is correct, and Jonathan and Andrew demand that Warren fix the ray so they can de-invisible Buffy before it's too late. They also drop that Buffy has been hit with an immense amount of radiation, which in itself would cause major problems aside from being turned invisible. And ostensibly, she'll have to be hit again when they de-invisible her. I'm sure that won't be addressed. You know, that she got blasted with 10 bajillion kilojoules of radiation, or however radiation is measured. Oh, wait, maybe it's gray. Kilogray? Mega gray? I think gray is radiation.
I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Clearly. Get it? That was an invisibility reference.
I just have to point out that, I mean, there are different types of radiation. not all radiation is necessarily harmful. I mean, you could probably find a way to make them harmful. I don't know. I'm no expert. But I tend not to be affected by all the radio waves going through the air all the time.
I doubt they used radio waves to turn her invisible. Explain in the comments, and then I'll heart that comment.
But only if they subscribe to our Patreon. Xander goes to Spike's to try to find Buffy, and comes across them having sex.
Which looks weird, because Buffy's still invisible.
And when Xander asks Spike what he's doing, he claims he was exercising, and says he hasn't seen Buffy. And Xander somehow doesn't notice Buffy playing with Spike's ear and making noises. Because he's stupid.
After Xander leaves, Spike tells Buffy to leave, saying the only reason she's there is because she's not really there. And once she's visible again, things will go back to the way they were. And I did like how he pointed out that her clothes would be difficult to find.
And Buffy says that being invisible makes her feel free. And it's the first time that's happened since she came back from the dead. Willow goes to a coffee shop and hacks into the DMV files on a public computer and gets a ridiculous warning on the screen as she does so.
Yeah, so was she hacking it, or was she just using it as intended and it was telling her, like, don't do this, but I'll let you do this?
Yeah, good question.
I could not stop laughing when the loading bar was taking too long and she was having her magic withdrawal. And she was like, oh, I want to use magic to make this thing load faster. Oh, the music was so serious. Oh, so good. I couldn't stop laughing.
And those Dutch angles, too, that also made it really funny.
But it was relatable. I mean, when shit takes too long for me, it clarifies why I have a line of Coke right next to my computer.
Okay, I didn't realize that was related. Out on the street, Buffy plays Kick the Can while loudly complaining about getting kicked out by Spike.
How symbolic.
She gets home and finds Dawn getting home late, and Dawn is freaked out by Buffy being invisible and not being upset about it, and she storms out. What a Buffy.
Buffy plays a message from Xander on an answering machine, which is something they used to have back in the day, and he informs her that she will dissolve into jelly if they don't reverse the invisibility.
Willow tracks the black van's address and finds it half hidden under a tarp, but still just parked out in the open. And apparently she walked there, which tracks with Sunnydale being about 2 square blocks. And she goes down into the unlocked basement and finds the invisibility gun.
And she chooses to go directly into the basement instead of any other entrance like a normal person. It's next to a house. Why would your first move be, I'm going to go into the basement? And of course, once she gets into the basement, she finds a lone whiteboard displaying nothing but invisibility ray with this huge detailed drawing and all these specs written out.
And she is suddenly grabbed by the nerds, who are now invisible themselves, and they tell her she is their first hostage. But how did they even know someone was coming?
Good question. Also, they never take any more hostages. So what was their bigger plan? At the house, Buffy receives a call from the nerds claiming that they have Willow and to meet them at an arcade. Why would they bother kidnapping Willow? Why wouldn't they just tell Willow what's going on and say, let's go help Buffy together? Once she arrives to the arcade, which was also a thing that used to exist back in the day, Invisible Warren claims he's going to de-invisible her.
And at one point, Warren yells at Jonathan and Andrew, who are playing a Dead or Alive game, but the dialogue has Jonathan giving Andrew advice while Andrew plays against the computer, but the visuals show them both moving the joysticks, showing that the people behind the camera really figured out what they were doing before they shot the scene. Surprised you didn't say something about that.
No, I knew you would just launch into a tirade about that. And then they say, let's move to a less conspicuous area, even though nobody has noticed anything anyway.
Even though Willow is apparently talking to disembodied voices while holding her arms at weird angles.
Invisible Warren claims he's going to de-invisible Buffy, but Willow, who got a whole 3-second look at that whiteboard, realizes that Warren is going to instead accelerate Buffy's deterioration. So Warren responds by rifle butting Willow in the face, creating a bruise that must be invisible because she looks fine later. What did you think about the big invisible fight?
It made me wonder if the entire idea behind the episode was just a way for them to save money, because the camera is just pointing at nothing. And I did think the other people's reactions in the arcade were funny.
During the scuffle, Willow grabs the gun and manages to de-invisible everybody.
Which turns out to be really easy because for some reason they all stay exactly where they were when Buffy knocked them down.
Warren claims that they are Buffy's arch-nemesis before they all run away like cowards. And when a security guard wanders in asking what the hell is going on, Willow and Buffy first completely ignore him to talk about Buffy's new haircut and then walk out without being questioned further by that security guard. who now has to deal with a broken pinball machine and a Dead or Alive cabinet that's apparently malfunctioning. Once they're outside, Willow talks about how hard the day was without using magic, how she had to wait for things to load, how she had to manually pick up books. Ugh.
Yeah, what a difficult life. Buffy says she was surprised to feel scared when she heard Xander's message that she was going to die, and realizes she finally felt like she wanted to live. How deep. Dawn. Overall?
For the beginning, during Willow's detox, Buffy dumped all this magic shit in a box. What did they do with that? I was half expecting a person to find the box and just go crazy with magic stuff, or even the amount of magic items being in close proximity to each other would cause some sort of mischief, but nothing like that happened at all.
I mean, you have a bunch of stuff in the magic shop that's, that kind of stuff in close proximity, but I mean, that's not to say that it's not dangerous, obviously.
Yeah. I mean, really, they should take all that dangerous shit and just add it back to the shop's inventory, like responsible people.
Yeah, well, responsible, that's the key word there.
I am glad that Willow directed Xander to go to the magic shop and didn't go herself, because that would be like an alcoholic hanging out in a liquor store, and hopefully Willow will not end up back at the magic shop during meetings and stuff. I thought we were going to get a bunch of scenes where Willow tried to do normal things without the aid of magic, but it would be humorous or tragically bomb, and then she would get frustrated and stuff, but we didn't. They were all serious, but unintentionally really funny. Buffy really frustrated me in this episode. She is still so immature. As soon as something negative happens to her, she expects Xander and Anya to figure out what happened and to solve it. There is no reason why she could not do both of those things herself, despite being invisible. It'd actually make things easier. She's so irresponsible, she's so self-serving, and I was on Doris' side. Buffy was such a bitch in this episode, so many steps backwards, and literally whistling, while she intentionally ruined the lives of people around her. And did she experience any fallout from these actions? Of course not. Doris is probably now questioning her sanity and may have lost her job. And naturally, none of Buffy's soul-searching at the end of the episode included any remorse for her actions, just that, oh, I guess Dawn was pretty freaked out. You're still on probation, bitch. Get your life together. Truly, Dawn should not be in Buffy's care. And as much as I hate the nerds, having a split between them and Warren would at least provide some interest to this arc. I mean, the best arc would be for them to just go away, but that's just wishful thinking. And Xander mentioned the episode with the classroom of invisible assassins. Have those assassins been operating this entire time? Are they going to pop up at some point? The answer is maybe, because they brought Amy back, so why not? And I made a joke about Buffy enjoying messing with people who are already dealing with supernatural shit all the time, but really, the trauma and grief counseling scene in Sunnydale must be some of the best paying work in the entire country. High repeat business. You know, they'd get a call and be like, hey, I just ran into another ghost, and he possessed my dad, and then my dad murdered my mom, so could we have 2 appointments this week? Oh, it can't be Wednesday because it's a full moon, and that's when I turn into a werewolf. I didn't really like this episode, mainly because everything was so... Damn it, I was going to say transparent. But it was, and characters just took steps backwards. Nothing really happened to move any plots forward, other than Buffy now has to worry about Dawn being taken away from her, but she really doesn't, because she sabotaged Doris' life. Will they send another social worker, or are they just going to discard that whole plot line? I didn't really like this episode. I gave it a D+.
Okay, I gave it a D. The concept of Buffy becoming invisible made me think of Earshot, where she could hear other people's thoughts, but that episode actually took advantage of that for some good humor. At least I think that's how I remember it. It's been a while now. This one just gave Buffy an excuse to bang Spike, and that's about it. How did Willow track the van?
Yeah, what did she go there and type in van that is black, and it was like, accessing encrypted data.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. Like, it was just black paint. That could have gone to anything. But she somehow tracked it back to a specific house. And now the gang has an invisibility ray gun. But I'm guessing they'll never bring it up again. The physical effects of using magic haven't been well established in the show. If Willow does certain spells, like teleporting Glory away, it seems to tax her, but smaller stuff doesn't. So the only harm seems to come from her lack of self-control. There doesn't seem to be anything inherently wrong with doing small spells, to just lift a book or whatever. We talked about some bad ADR back in the musical episode, but this episode was much worse. Sarah Michelle Gellar is apparently not a good voice actress. I'm guessing she needs other people there to play off of. And Willow's voice was sometimes very clearly looped in afterward as well. And I get that it's a weekly TV show and, you just gotta get stuff done, so, that's probably the reason for some of it. But I'm just pointing out that it was not great. And it didn't help that we had stupid music throughout by some wanker apparently trying to emulate Richard Band.
Oh man, okay, your wrap-up is taking so long, give me a second. Okay, you can keep going.
Oh man, don't do drugs, kids. So Buffy now knows who she's dealing with, who the trio is or whatever, and they know where their hideout is, but will they actually do anything about that? I doubt it, unless the nerd gang ends up living out of the van. That would give them a mobile hideout, but I don't think they're that smart. So I did not think this was a great episode either, especially the way Buffy came off, but at least we made some kind of progress on what is unfortunately apparently turning out to be the main villain arc of the season.
I think the real struggle for both of us, though, was the overwhelmingness of trying to stick in a bunch of invisibility puns and cold puns in one review.
Yeah, we didn't even keep consistent with it.
Yeah, the cold ones kind of fell off.
Yeah, we kind of froze up on those.
Hang on a second. Alright, thanks for watching.